Hello and welcome back. Today we will be making a vision test. Let's start off by making a player sprite. And let's make a level. For the level, let's just clunk up some big gray blocks. You want to make something that's a little bit like a maze. Make sure you have walls on all the sides. Now that we have our level, we can also draw the player. It only has to have one costume. Let's just make it a circle for now. This circle's a little big. And one more thing, make sure you know which is the front of your player. So I know this is the front of my player because I'm making something like a little arrow over here. Now that we have this set up, let's also make a quick background. I like to make my background black. Now, when we've clicked the front with a green flag, let's set the level X and Y to 0 and the player's X and Y position to something reasonable. Say I want my player to start over here. The X and Y of my player is X negative 128 and Y negative 106. So let's do that. Okay, make sure to save your project. You also want to make a frames per second counter because it's going to be very useful. So just create a new sprite, name it FPS or frames per second. You don't have to draw anything, and go to code. You're going to want to create two variables, one called count and one called FPS. Make sure the FPS is visible. As my frames per second variable might be at 31, but it actually doesn't work. To make it work, we need to get a when flag click, set count to 0, and then make a forever, change count by 1, and wait 0 seconds. We're gonna put an if and a smaller than operator. Sorry, not a smaller than, a bigger than operator. And you're gonna want to get the timer and reset time. And then set FPS to count. Essentially, why we have timer is bigger than 1, because when the timer goes over 1 second, that's what this 1 stands for. And that marks the 1 second time mark. And when that goes over, that's when we set the FPS. So if I press start, oh yeah, one more thing, we need to set the count to 0. And now you can see I have on 30, 29 frames per second, 31 right now. So the counter works really well. Now say if I put a forever in the player and create clone of myself, now we can make the player move. So we're gonna want to go into forever and bring out two ifs. One of those is gonna be if key up arrow pressed, and one for key down arrow pressed. These are gonna be for walking forwards and backwards. Then let's make a block called move and add a number and name it steps. And make sure you have this run without screen refresh tick. Okay, and now let's make let's take out a move block and move steps, and then an if, and if this is gonna be if it's touching the level. So if the player hit the level, if it's touching it, then we are gonna move 0 minus steps. Meaning if we move 5 steps, we're touching the level, then we're gonna move negative 5 steps. So we're gonna be back where we started. And when the up arrow key is pressed, let's move 3. And when the down arrow key is pressed, let's move negative. And now let's see if it works. As you can see, it is working. If I bump into the wall, I can't go through walls. But we also want to be able to turn. So let's quickly do that. Let's add a right arrow key pressed and a left arrow key pressed. When the right arrow is key pressed, we want to turn 5 degrees towards the right, and when the left arrow key is pressed, we want to turn 5 degrees towards the left. And now, as you can see, we can walk and bump into the walls, and nothing will happen. Pretty neat, right? Now let's go ahead and add an extension. The extension button is right here. Click that and add the pen extension. Now that we have that, let's make a new block called render. Make sure this block is also a run without screen refresh. And in the render, what we want to do is first set the pen size to 5 and erase all when the flag is pressed. And what we're gonna do in the render, function, in the render block, we are gonna make the vision, so what the player can see. And we want to make it be able to work. Let's make an X variable and a Y variable. And these, after we finished moving, let's set the X and Y position of the player to its actual X and Y position. Now let's just make the pen go to go to the X and Y. Let's put the pen down. Turn 20 degrees and repeat 25 times. We're gonna turn 2 degrees, and then we're gonna bring the pen up. We're gonna lift it up, and then we're gonna go back to the X and Y. And then we're gonna put the pen down. And then at the end, we're gonna turn 30 degrees, and let's do a repeat until touching level. We're gonna want the pen, we're gonna wanna move one step. And for now, it is drawing a line, but that is okay because we need to do something else. Here, in the when flag pressed, we are gonna, when the flag is pressed, we want the pen to be up. And then we're gonna render at, after we turn, we are gonna render sorry, you have to be turning the other direction. Okay, like so. And now, after every single render, we want to erase everything. So put an erase all, but at the end of the loop. Actually, the erase all has to be at the beginning, sorry. And now, as you can see, we can create these nice shadows. And we can make the player be able to find some stuff that are hidden. I'm gonna give you guys one example. But first, let's just set the pen color to anything. I'm gonna make mine, I'll make mine a light blue, like so. You can see if it has to render a lot of these lines, we're gonna be running at 5 frames per second. But if it has to render a little, we're running at 8, at 9, and if we stop completely at 16. And let's just create a new sprite called collectible. I'm gonna make mine an apple, and I'm gonna put my apple over here. And let's just make it a little bit smaller. And to make it only be able to be seen when the player is actually looking at it, we want to make a forever if else sensing touching color, and make sure you have this color selected, the color that the vision is, or those lines are. And that if it's touching that color, we're going to show it. If not, we're going to hide it. So when we start, we can't see the apple. Only when we're looking at the apple can we see it. I can see the apple, I can see it, but if I turn away, I can't. And using this engine, you can make a lot of really cool games. For example, hide and seek. I surely will be using this and I will be making a game with it. So stay tuned and maybe you'll be able to play my game. Bye! If you guys made it this far, please consider subscribing. If you want to see another tutorial on Scratch, I have a Scratch shooter tutorial right over here. See you guys next time. Bye!